Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Yoga Break It Down. I'm Yoga Suze. In this episode, we are going to explore what's commonly called peeing dog. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as fire hydrant pose, but it's basically a variation of three-legged dog, which I demonstrated in a previous episode. For this position, you will need a yoga mat to provide traction. Once you come into your downward dog position and identify which foot will be the standing foot first, make any adjustments in the position of that standing foot that seem like it will provide you with greater stability. I often scooch my foot ever so slightly in towards the center. Not much, but it just seems that as soon as I think about lifting the opposite foot, the standing foot, I want just a smidge in. So just notice for yourself if you have any readjustments like that that make you feel more stable in a three-legged dog position. With the three-legged dog, once you have your leg lifted, at first your weight tends to want to shift forward towards your hands, but you can use the raised foot to help you extend up and back. So you can flex in that foot and just imagine yourself extending from the wrists all the way up through that heel. Then you would bend in that standing leg and rotate the hip open. You're going to be turning your rib cage in the direction of that side of the body. This is a hip opening pose. So you're going to focus a lot on keeping that hip rotated open. You want to continue to extend up and back from the wrists upwards. If you don't, your weight will shift forward and your face will come further forward than your arms. As you can see, I'm showing you here. But when you extend fully up and back and your head is turned in the direction that your chest is turned, you're going to be peeking out underneath that arm. So that's always a way that you can check if you're extending up and back. Where the head is will tell you. I'd say spend approximately 10 breaths on this pose in each side, and you're going to continually focus on sinking down through the hands, extending up through the arms, up through the shoulders, up through the spine. Feel your hips extend up and back, but then also you want to sink down through the standing heel. So you'll deepen the stretch in that standing leg. Continue to have the hips move up and back, and then rotating that upper hip open and rotating the rib cage so that it's facing that direction too. And you're going to continuously feel more and more of that hip opener. So with the rib cage turning, you always got to be aware of what is the movement of the head and what is the movement of the torso, because a lot of times we move our head and think that we moved our torso but actually didn't. So think about the side of the torso that you want to face upward and track it with your mind's eye as it moves more and more back facing upwards. I think as you practice this pose, you're going to feel more openness in the lungs and be able to take some really nice, slow, deep breaths. This variation can be really nice to add into your sun salutation or other vinyasas, where maybe you had a downward dog and decide to add a three-legged dog, and then maybe from there you decide to take it into this hip opener, into this peeing dog position. If you are unsure of how much you're rotating open in the hip, one way that you can practice is to have your mat set a little ways away from the wall, come into the peeing dog position, reaching the toes for the wall. And with this way of practicing, it often takes a few times of adjusting the distance of the mat from the wall so that you're not so close that it's too easy to touch and you're not too far away that it's impossible to touch, where it's just a nice reach to bring you a little further than you would normally go with your hip opener. So you can play around with the pose, see how far you would go with that hip opener, and you want your experience at the wall to be reaching just a little bit further. Using the wall as well, if you touch your toes a little bit to the wall, that can inspire that rotation of the torso as well. Thank you guys for joining me for this episode of Yoga Break It Down. Hit the subscribe button and share this video with friends. Remember that everybody needs yoga. So that means Joshua Johnson needs yoga, sign language instructors need yoga, chimney sweeps, they need yoga too, but you especially, baby, you need yoga. So I really hope that you can join me next time for Yoga Break It Down. Bye-bye.